Good afternoon. Today is Friday, February 16th, and our guest is renowned professional political analyst and publisher Ilya Levkov. Ilya, welcome to the show.
Happy to join you and your gang.
Ilya, while there is war going on and everyone is concentrated on that war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, the situation in West Bank is heating up and gaining momentum and getting more attention in media. Can you shed light as to what's going on there and why the overheating?
Yes, I can, and I will do it with pleasure in the limited times that we have for our.
We hope you will. Thank you.
You see, I will start a little bit historical, but very, very brief. After Six-Day War, there were some territories of Israel that were originally Israeli settlers until 47. As a matter of fact, there were many, and they were in Arab hands. Then the relatives and survivors came to Prime Minister Eshkol and said, hey, now we control the West Bank. Let us resettle where we were before 1947. You know, the partition of 29th of November, 1947. He says, all right, Kinderlach. You know, he used Yiddish very, very often. If you want to settle, go and settle. There was no open and committed Israeli policy, you see. Okay. It was done like, so they settled at Gush Etzion, you know, southwest of Jerusalem, where 35 people were killed. I'll talk maybe about this one other day because I have the book about them. I'm publishing it in English. And the second thing is the general approach, that is, they were mapping. And I think one of the first Israeli films, really very, very crudely made, it says, the hill is 24, does not reply. And it shows as a committee where we're mapping which hill belongs to whom, you know. And those places where, let's say, all Israelis that were there killed, they could not respond. And therefore the title of the movie was Giv'ah 24 Eina Ona, meaning the hill 24 does not answer, therefore it's not in Israeli, but in nobody's hands, you understand? All right, now after 68, there were big movement toward the resettlement of what was going on in those territories. But by now, those who resettled in 67, 68, they are now, almost 60 years old. That is, by now they're the generation of parents and kids, that is, kids and grandkids of those settlements that were in the surrounding territories. Mm-hmm. So this is the map. As we know, the West Bank divided in 3 regions, A, B, and C. A, the Arabs absolute control it, though Israel can enter as the military if there are problems. B is so-called neutral, but there are no expansion for the Arabs. So, and C, completely in Israeli hands. Now, there are some territories as settlements. So let me give you the map. I don't know all the settlements. I'm talking now about those settlements that they are already a third generation and what is happening on with them. There is about so-called settlements or places, about 50 of them in the West Bank in area B. It means A not target. And from those people, they were around the settlement, so they're expanding this because it's still state land, state of Israel,
Right.
although, and they have about so-called 30 farms. What are those farms? They are, in a way, settlements of sons and grandsons of those who returned to those territories in 1968. So, settlements, there were problems, and I actually visited Amona. We'll talk next time, where the Israeli police on horses destroyed a settlement which was under Israeli control. But because it was not decided yet by or Shmum or some government, they destroyed everything. And I have very, very dramatic pictures which I myself took.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is happening now is that those guys are a new type of Israelis. They, in a way, kind of settlers in a wild, wild west. What is happening there? There is happening something like life on the prairie. You know, the little house on the prairie. In this case, it's a little farm on the prairie. In this case, it's also people that come there, though they are not relative of those settlers, they come there as a hired hands. That is kids, 17, 18, that got sick and tired to study Talmud. So they by themselves journeying to those places and helping them to resettle and extend those areas.
Right.
What do they do? Those areas, they have, it's also animal farms, sheep and goats. So they have, let's say, one place, you will see maybe in the videos that I provided you with, it's a 7,000 acres. So they put a fence. Then they bring the water, because they're for people and for animals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are hired hands that come from cities and towns of Israel to this little house on the prairies. It's a very, very interesting. What's more important, interesting, it's a different type of Israeli chalutzim, you know, pioneers. Those akin are to those who were in 1920s that came 100 years ago.
This is more of an idealistic spirit. They're still into Zionism, into settlement, into the land of Israel. And
yeah, but came not from the socialist, the original one, Jews that came to Palestine. This is anti-socialist religions, you see.
Right.
It is, they have a measure, underscore, a measure messianic streak. They're so idealistic, but they're not crazy religious, you know. They are, and I know some of them, you know, people, kids, they didn't want to live in a family, didn't want to continue to study in yeshivas. What do they do if they are not drafted into the army or in a national service that will be absolutely settled now by a law of the Knesset, of course. They venture there, you know. They venture to these little houses on the prairies. I know one who spends there a year, you know, getting up 5 in the morning before dawn, you know, and you're all alone, you know. They don't carry weapons, you know, and therefore there is a friction, because on the other side there is a hidden and very open policy of the Palestinians to do the same. They saying, hey, we can also conquer. So how do they do it? They have roads, the Palestinians build roads, they keep the distance from one house to the other very, quite a bit, mile, you understand, things like this, in order to create later on a demand that this territory belongs to them.
Yeah, so it's a low density residence,
very
over
well.
large area of land.
The Israelis on the territories that they have in the West Bank, C and B, they can accept several million people. Because the most main thing, because the Israelis solved the problem of water. And you know what's amazing more than that? How do you think that all the innovations started in Palestine in those 1920s? You know why? Because the Jews brought with them one particular technology that did not exist in
the Middle East.
Palestine.
Yeah.
Which is that? This is a water. Water pumps did two things. A, they dried the swamps, and B, they irrigated the desert. And the influence of Arabs exactly correlates these technologies the Jews brought, because many of them were engineers, doctors, and water pump, it's a primitive instrument, Even I work, very few hours. You had to by labor. You had to move this handle. This was the water pump. It's not that it was electrical.
So, you're saying a little bit of detour here. You're saying that in around 1910, 1920, when the pump was brought by Jewish immigration from Russia predominantly, the immigration into the same land started from other adjacent areas like Jordan,
Correct.
Syria.
Because look at this. Because the moment Jews drove their swamps and irrigated the field, you have plenty of agricultural, so-called semi-industrial employment. You had citruses, oranges and all those similar to these. Bananas were there, and not many others. I will give you a lecture on Israeli agriculture separately, specifically. Remind me. So, this is how it happened. Nowadays, they have some water when they simply get from the groundwater, groundwater. But Israel, because it has a cheap system and technology how to ameliorate the seawater into the sweet water, and then the salinity, avoiding salinity of the soil, they can provide those settlers with plenty of water. Do you know that Israel, by a contract, peace agreement with Jordan, what Israel owes them every year?
Certain amount of water for free, I think.
50 million
cubic.
50 million cubes from the lake of Kinneret. Now, so much, especially now, it's jumped 10 centimeters. The Kinneret, the level of the water in Kinneret jumped this year in 24, 10 centimeters. You know how much is this? How many millions of cubic meters of sweet water, and therefore, but Israel has a deal, keeps the deal alive, and gives 50 million out of this to Jordan. If Israel close the water to the Jordan, the entire country has nothing to eat. All right, back to our thing. So, another thing I would attend to, besides that Israeli movie, there was another American movie with a prominent actor, Gene Wilder. You sure know him, he's a comedian. And it's something similar, very much parallel what happened today in Israel, on the West Bank. 2-3 words. Some rabbi in Poland received a letter from America, and they said they have a community, but they don't have a rabbi. and could they please send them a good rabbi? So he sits around, and everybody is Ilui. Ilui means a genius in Talmud and all that.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to give them. He doesn't want to give him, the geniuses in his cheder. And then he looks through a window and he sees one of the students who is a lemech, a little bit.
I've seen the movie.
And he tries to skate and he falls. In any case, for him to be a student, prominent student in yeshiva, to be a rabbi, it's far, far. And then they decide, hey, let's send to America, this crazy country there, our lemech. Let's see, let him land. And this way, he lands in Philadelphia. He, of course, being stolen, lied, and all. Jewish kids, it could not survive even in Eastern Europe in a city. He is being thrown into, America with plenty of charlatans and, snake oil promoters and all that. So in any case, he becomes, and he has to get from Philadelphia to San Francisco. In any case, by the time he gets to San Francisco, he gains so much experience that he becomes a prominent hero, and everybody worships him. And of course, they call him a rabbi, So this is a movie, though it's about 40 years old.
I've seen the movie. It's amazing.
Frisco Kid.
Yes.
It's but this is what we have today in Israel on the West Bank. We have plenty of Frisco kids, you understand, who don't want to study Talmud and who want to get up with the ship. And those people, I want to tell you, those who come from the cities, they work there for not a single penny for a year. They get only food and shelter, and they give a life to, can you imagine their devotion, to this land, and especially because they feel that they are the real redeemers, because the grandparents, the grandkids of Tel Aviv, most of them are professors, including my best friends. Some of them was even the prime minister. I don't want to go into this now. Very close friend with whom I'm desperately disagree nowadays. But so is life. But in any case, you understand the difference between the youth of Tel Aviv and to the elites, because they travel to Europe. For them, this is, the matter of fact, most of the most sharp journalists on the right side today were once radical lefties, you understand?
Yeah.
And that's interesting because they know the charge that they were headed in those days, and they know, of course, the political literature, political debates, and all that thing, and therefore they are very, very familiar with the so-called encounters, be it on radio, TV, or public debates. They can easily see what's going on, and a lot. I want you in our audience to remember, we'll come to this sometimes, there's a plenty going on. If you think that this war injected some peace in the government or in the public affairs, you cannot imagine. The flame is there and being utilized and being retained and enlarged, still, because as we know now, and as I say for the last 2 years, Biden is very unreliable friend of Israel. Extremely unreliable. I don't know if I told you. In his speech on October 7th, 2023, where people were not yet been buried, in his speech from the White House, order and read it. Don't take my word.
He mentioned something to the basically pushing for two-state solution.
Correct. So how, so nowadays, when he needs a certain victory, he cannot win over the Arabs. He cannot make truly Saudi Arabia to join Israel because Saudi Arabia says, yes, we'll join and we'll be friends. However, they must establish, they smelled what Biden said. He said, yeah, we'll be brothers forever. But Israelis must establish a Palestinian state. Israel, after this experience, will never lend a hand to establish a Palestinian state. Because when they had an absolute freedom in Gaza to have their seaport and even airport, they didn't do a thing. They invested all of their money, all of their effort in building the underground city and create those thousands and thousands of rockets which fly blindly because they're uncontrollable into most of the citizens rather than industrial or military areas of Israel. So therefore, Israel has such an experience and such, I cannot go now in a percentage, it's about 90% of Israelis said absolute no to this Palestinian state. If some were daydreaming for 30, 40 years, you know how many books were written, and I can talk about this, Oslo, my Oslo, after Oslo, the dreams, it was called Oslo. The idea was very, very simple. They use, and most people, especially the more they're intellectual, they said, how can we not to trust them? They said they will live in peace, But we had plenty of intifadas, plenty of killing on the street, and plenty, especially Hamas, which was 100% supported in the Gaza Strip by so-called peaceful population, So in the West Bank, they're dominant. They're 70 to 80% are supporting Hamas because Hamas certain purity, Islamic purity. They fight for the Allah. And the other organization parallel to this, Hezbollah. Glory to Allah. They also have these religions, but they are contained by the government of Lebanon. They want to become a little bit what you call cohabitated. Why? Because they have ministers. They're in the government. They have ministers. They have responsibility. Now, Hamas had no responsibility at all. To the degree that they decided to do it by themselves rather than to wait and attack Israel from three areas: Lebanon, Hezbollah, West Bank, and Gaza.
Yep.
This what was the agreement, but they wanted to show off, you understand?
Yep.
And to be the leaders, and to be kind because they're pure and devoted and they give away their life for the Allah, of course. And I think
so do you believe that this attack, October 7th, was not coordinated or was not approved by Iran somehow?
Well, listen, Iran taught them, but Iran didn't give an order on that day you go, because Iran would prefer that this will be an attack on Israel from all three directions, north, east, and south. You understand?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And when it didn't happen, Israel realized the extent of them, and everybody said Nasrallah will do Nasrallah. But Nasrallah knew that and Israel said it, listen, it will be, your Beirut will be akin to Gaza. You understand? That's all. You will never recognize your capital city, Beirut. It will be like Stalingrad, Some say Stalingrad, some say Gaza, The competition is between those two poles. So let me briefly to go through some points of that process. Now, those people, I must say, I saw them on TV, long, several, it's about half an hour. Couple of those people, they are different. I'm telling you, as a, old timer Israeli,
We are
they
talking
are
about the new type of settlers, the young
right.
Israeli religious
Third,
settlers.
third generation of settlers. A, they are religious but not messianic.
Yeah.
They know what they feel, they are content, and they don't need to show off or to do the thing. They are natural sons of modern Israel. Exactly, they are parallel, you see. They are parallel to this high-tech use, Israeli use. I said, unless you have an invention, you are an Untermensch, if you understand the word.
Yeah.
You are nobody. So those kids, they don't know, they didn't study so much. Most of them now, army tries to integrate them, especially, who? Girls who have the deficiency, autistic. You know why? Those autistic people, and they are among religious as well, they can focus on one thing, and they are the best readers of photography from space. You get a picture.
Yeah.
I look at it, I will not recognize, I don't know, and even if I will be taught, tell me. But they just have the ability, being autistic, to focus on one. It's like you, forgive me, train a shepherd dog. That you can, and they are the most advanced in reading those maps. As a matter of fact, those girls that are in the army, and they are primarily in Gaza, where next to Gaza, they were daily looking at them at the microscope because they're much more sensitive. They're less action and more perception and cogitation.
Yeah.
And they were the first that received the information, and they were first that were saying the tragedy is coming. On many, it took almost a year ago. A year ago in Pesach, the Hamas was planning to do a similar action. However, those girls, they got the information, they convinced the army got ready for such thing, and then the Hamas in the last minute canceled their invasion. Last April, I don't know precise date of the Pesach, but it was. So there's a lot that the girls in Israel are much attuned to, much better than the soldiers. Soldiers are better fighters. Girls are different on such items, specific intelligence items, that above the boys of the same age.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I wanted to give some more details about that, what was happening, and give one case, and it's very important because it happened actually on August 15. Listen, August, that is about 7 weeks before
October 7th.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was an announcement on Friday evening that those boys killed an Arab. And meanwhile, the religious people didn't watch, didn't respond on the Shabbat and the next day. So there was, by Sunday morning in Israel, there was almost a fact that the Israeli settlers killed Arab. Now, as it happened, it was a lie, not simple lie, it was a blood label. And that blood label was indeed utilized by the Arabs to create an image that the Israelis are Untermenschen, and whatever,
Yeah.
And what's interesting, even those settlers, when they have this barbed wire and all that, you know who are their main opponents? You would not believe. Physical, intellectual, and communication. Israeli left groups. They come and they practically provoking an instant because one Wojciech, listen, 2, 3, 17 years old, they cannot debate with them. How can they debate? Besides, when somebody is possessed, never debate with this person. As Mark Twain said, you will never convince him, but you will get down to his almost Neanderthal level. So they, in a way, accuse those young boys, that they confront on those hills and provide and take pictures and provide and distribute and really what you call set up fires on those hills. Fires, I mean, not in, symbolically.
Yeah, I get it.
But,
Basically, creating a lot of noise in the media.
very, very much. But you know what's interesting? Another source I will tell you, few people know about, very, very few, and talk about this. And I heard it from the man himself. The man himself was not a prominent person. Everybody knows him, Moshe Dayan. I heard from his mouth in the 70s a speech where he stated, and I can, this is my ability to remember 30, 40 years what was before. And I was questioning, I was not, he said that there are two dimensions. One is the territory, the other one is the nation. So in order to have the territory controlled, you have to have a nation. So the nation is the most important, and territories, therefore, is less important. If you can lose it, but you can regain it,
Yeah.
But nowadays, with the international pressure, when people claim, from the river to the sea, and unable to say which river, which sea, they can create such a thing that Biden, that politicians suddenly smell pressure or support or depended upon them. And here Biden, who said that there is no light between Israel and America on October 7, in the same speech he said the solution should include the two nation states.
Yeah.
So now when we have this kind of new generation, which does not know and doesn't feel their roots, understanding. So therefore, this kind of action is very, very. Moreover, as I said, those programs, I cannot find the name of the previous prime minister of the Palestinian Authority. He said this program of the Arabs, what they're trying to extend and illegally build, this program is named on his behalf. You understand? And he was saying, and they're supporting these activities with the money from the Palestinians, who are also getting it from the West, and from the West directly. They would like to expand and to enlarge the force of those Palestinians who are still thinking that they can to establish a state in order to destroy Israel. Because the point of contention is not the two states. There are plenty of states. Listen, even people such as Belgian, one language, the other. Spaniards do the same thing, But here is, the claim is that it's the place for one state only. Or Islamic State, not, God forbid, because they don't believe in this modernity liberalism, and therefore many Israelis, especially came from the Africa and Near East, and including one prominent, very smart guy, expert on Iran. He said, if we don't comprehend the Israelis, that liberalism and Zionism are clashing, then we don't comprehend the essence of the Arab-Israeli conflict.
Mhm.
I have pictures. I can show you, let's say, I could send you the pictures how these such settlements on a hill of in nowhere. It was, you know when? It was 18 years ago. What it would be 18 years ago? 24 minus 18. 16, that is
Six.
2004. Yes? Yeah. No, it
Six,
would be
2006.
2006. In 2006, I can send you my photo how Israeli police destroyed such a settlement. And it's known, Amona, and you will see. And then those who came to destroy it, they destroyed walls, and you know what they graffiti which they wrote? They wrote the German Nazi cross and fascist, and wrote, said those who came to reclaim the Jewish land are Nazis and fascists. And so they are being called. And even that, the leader of those
Hold on.
who
Yeah,
you
I'm confused now. Who were the people who drew these German symbols, Nazi symbols?
oh, the left,
Israeli
the
left.
left, Israeli left. Oh yeah, they will do everything. Why do you think they're so effective to undermine Bibi? Because they have very tight with an institution. It's called INSS. You can go and find it. Israeli Leading Research Institution, INSS, and they are very much also. They don't think. They think we have to give away the land. Land is not important. Back to Moshe Dayan.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see. Got it. This is very interesting, very captivating, and very revealing.
Indeed.
Thank you,
I
Ilya.
hope